Good morning. Welcome to Time in His Word. I got a load out of Minnesota going to Savannah, Georgia, which means I have to go down through Nashville, Chattanooga, and Atlanta down to Macon, and then go east on Interstate 16 out of Macon. I am dreading going through those major cities because the traffic over that way in the last few years has just gotten just horrendous. It's horrible. So this morning I'm going to try a little bit of a different route and come in on the north side of Nashville, go around Briley Parkway, and then take Interstate 40 out east of town. There's a bypass that runs around the south side of Nashville that's kind of, I think they put it in a bad spot, but that's just me as a truck driver. It's almost out of the way. But I'm going to use it, and it'll drop me off in Murfreesboro, and I'll be able to virtually eliminate the worst part of Nashville. But that's my plan. I have the knowledge and the of the roads. I have the ability to read a map. So that's part of the, making that choice. But I'm doing it to kind of miss some of the traffic that you run into in Nashville. It used to be years ago, you could go through Nashville without any trouble. Morning rush hour, evening rush hours was rough, but the rest of the day was really, really easy, no trouble. But times have changed. They've had a population boom. There's more people living in there. The roads have a hard time. The roads has a hard time with the amount of traffic flow. One little accident can shut you down for an hour easily. And it's like that all the way down through there. So it's one of them deals, you look for different ways to go around, but finding them where it's not too much out of the way is difficult. Now, how far this is going to take me out of route, I don't know, but it's worth a try. It's worth a try. I recognize a hazard, and I'm doing what I can to avoid the hazard. Now think of it the same way in your walk in Christ. We, as a Christian, will recognize something that's not good for us, and we'll try to go around it, but we get sucked into it before we realize what's happened. And how does that happen? I think a lot of that has to do with we don't spend time in the Word. We don't have that strong, concrete foundation in our walk in Christ, and we're easily led astray. It's just like, so like I said earlier, I know the traffic now around Nashville is 10 times worse than it was 10 years ago. But I'm trying different routes to minimize delays and such. So I see a problem, and I'm trying to avoid the problem or minimize the impact of the problem. A lot of times in our Christian walk, like I said, we get sucked in because we don't take the time to study and have that strong concrete foundation in the Word, and our faith is weak. And maybe even more importantly, we don't recognize something that's going to cause us problems, and we just keep pressing on as if everything's great, and everything's not great. There's challenges each and every day. We all can agree to that. In Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, and starting in verse 5, it says this: "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight." So if we acknowledge him and we do as he leads us to do, instructs us to do, we're going to come out the other end okay. It's when we go off on our own that we have problems. It's just like I mentioned earlier. I don't know how many miles out of route what I'm going to try today is going to be. It could end up being more miles than I want to drive to avoid the chance of a backup, but I won't know till I try. And it's the same in our walk in Christ. If we see a problem and we try to avoid it, well, that's good. But it's if we do it by leaning on Christ, it's better. But when we try to do it on our own, it ends up being a bigger problem. Agree? I know that's happened in my life. Things were laid out for me, and if I went this way, it'd have been a whole lot easier, but I chose not to, and thus I had problems. So I think a lot of this comes down to being able to recognize problems in our lives and how we're going to deal with them on a spiritual level, because we know Satan is just biting at the bit to just get that inch in our lives and throw us off course, even get us to walk away and not even acknowledge that we're a Christian. If we do that, Satan's rejoicing because he's succeeded. But there's that spiritual battle that goes on each and every day that we don't know about, that we don't recognize. And what we do in eliminating that might seem minor in the scope of things, but can make a huge difference. We just don't know. That's why it says, do not lean on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him. So anytime you feel like you're being challenged and you go to the Lord in prayer, just tell him, Father, I feel like you're challenging me. Show me what you want me to do. Show me where I have failed. Show me. Pray to him just as if you're talking to your best friend across the table and you're having a discussion. That's the type of relationship we need to have with Christ in our daily lives in order to get through this obstacle called life with as few difficulties and setbacks as possible. Are we going to eliminate them altogether? Nah, it ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. But we can work at it at trying to make it better. Just like I'm going to try this, like I said this morning, I'm going to try a different way around Nashville. Like I said, I looked at the map. I got years of experience driving down the road. I'm relying on that, and I'm thinking, if it can save me 10 minutes of grief, and it's only maybe 10 miles out of the way, it's going to be worth it. Now, I won't know how much out of the way it is till I get to Savannah, and I can look at seeing what they showed as pay miles, and I can see the miles I drove, and that'll tell me whether or not it was a good choice. So a lot of times the choices we make, we might not know the results of them right away, but somewhere down the line we'll know the results of the decisions we made, whether it was good or bad. But just think about that today. As you go through life, whose path are you following? Are you following the one that in all your ways you acknowledge him and he will make your path straight? Or are you following your path and you're trying to lean on your own understanding and it's not getting you anywhere? So think about that. The main thing we need to have is the right mindset when we start the day in order to get through the day by leaning on him and allowing him to lead us.